Welcome back to Switch to Linux. This is going to be a pro and con distro review. We're going to look at what is good and what is bad about various Linux distros, and I'll give you my final opinion. On today's distro review, we are going to look at Elementary OS right after this. So today we're going to be looking at the Elementary OS distro. We're going to be doing a pros and cons. What is good and what is bad from my perspective. You may disagree. Please let me know if you disagree, and I will see if we can have a discussion about some points. But anyway, we're going to look at Elementary OS. Now, I'm doing this on Simple Screen Recorder instead of any of the other programs I usually run because I'm finding that unlike what they say here at the top of the screen, Elementary OS is not necessarily a fast system. Open source, maybe. Fast, no. It is operating very sluggishly for me on a VirtualBox, and this VirtualBox has the same exact specs of all of the other distro reviews that I've done. And you know, I've done a lot of distro reviews, and usually even modern operating systems like Cinnamon, I have no problem working just fine. So this one here, Elementary OS, it is kind of, you can see what their look is. They are actually targeting that Apple market. They do actually have over here in a blog article that they're not specifically trying to target it, but looking at their website, looking at the feel of how their programs look, I see why people have that perception. Now, to download a copy of it, you can come down here. You can donate a certain amount. If you are just testing it out, you can just hit 0 over here in the custom and download it. Now, if this is an application or a distro that you'd like to run on a regular basis, it'd be very good of you to actually donate some money to them. Whether you agree with my assessment or disagree with my assessment, doesn't matter. So this is installed on a VirtualBox. I just downloaded the distro just a couple days ago, and then I installed it, made sure everything was up to date. So we should be running the most up-to-date version as of today. So we're going to look at some of the cons first so that we can leave on a positive note with the pros, and there are a significant amount of pros. Some of the points I'm going to bring up are pros or cons, depending upon which you consider. Now, their Epiphany Browser is what we're looking at. This is their own special browser that is created. They have created a lot of apps for their system, and their apps do seem to integrate well and generally look pretty good. However, I'm not going to give them a total pass on that because while a lot of their apps look very similar, like I can pull up the music app and the calendar app, and you can see that they do have these striking appearance to the app that we're looking at here in the Epiphany web browser. If I pull up the video app, for whatever reason, it's dark. No idea why. So, all that being said, the Epiphany browser itself is actually not a good browser. It is slow. It is very slow. Now, granted, I am running this on a VirtualBox, and the computer I'm running this on is a Dell Inspiron. It's like a 7500 series or something. So it's an iCore 5, I think, I don't know, 5th or 6th generation iCore 5, 2.6 or so gigahertz processor, 8 gigs of RAM. So this VirtualBox has half of the cores of the processor and half of the RAM, which is the same specs that I give to all my other machines. It also has half of my video memory. So I don't know, I think I have 62, I don't forget what the video is. It does the same specs that I use on all of my other virtual boxes. So this kind of gives you the comparison that one of the things they say, at least one of the people says up here in the comments is, you know, it's great for an old PC. I would not use this on an old PC. If you are looking for a good modern open source operating system, and you like the look of this, a new PC, wipe a new PC, put this on it, I think it'd work great for you. If I actually had kids in this house, I would actually be running this operating system, and I'll talk about that when I get to the pros a little bit later. Now, here's some of the pros and the cons of this web browser. Up in our settings, we have, if I can remember where they were, preferences, I believe. We have a few different settings, not many. The first is they actually managed to have less search engine options than even Safari does. We have Bing, DuckDuckGo, and Google. That's it. I want to use Start Page. I want to use whatever else. I don't have the ability to add different search engines. I don't have the ability to change other than these three. And really, for me, Bing is an absolutely no. I usually keep Google on systems, and I hate DuckDuckGo. I know it's the one that other privacy guys like me are using. I don't like it. I just think it's like, to me, it has a feel kind of like Yahoo. I look at it, and all I just see is a giant block of mess, and it's just ugly to me. So I can choose where my downloads are going to. We can enable the plugins. We do have this neat option here to allow or disallow advertisements. So I can actually turn off advertisements, and it will basically runs its own native inborn ad blocker. If you really like ad blockers, that's a huge pro. If you really don't like ad blockers, that's a huge con. I guess you can always turn it off. So maybe it's a pro either way. You have the option as to where to have it set. So privacy, it is set to default at the always accept, meaning the third-party cookies. I changed this to only from sites that I visit, so it excludes the third-party cookies, or we can never accept it. And then, of course, you can do your language stuff. That is it for the settings. Now, as I said, it is a very slow browser. I'm going to demonstrate that by playing a YouTube video. So here is my last tinfoil hat time video, which is my very fascinating series where I look at different things. So you can see how buggy this is. Now, even when I'm not recording video, it is this buggy. So I'm going to copy the URL. We are going to close this browser, and I'm going to run the same video in Firefox. Now, without recording a video, the Firefox seemed to run the video flawlessly, versus Epiphany was always that buggy. So we're going to see, because I am recording video. I did opt for the simple screen recorder today because it is a lot less systemy. Oh, hello. You can see that a whole lot better. So the Epiphany browser that's built in, not very good in my opinion. Okay, so that's enough for that. Now, Firefox was the only program that I installed. I actually had to restart the system about 5 times to get it to work. There was something going on in the App Center that seemed to lead me to a lot of freezes and a lot of potential instability. And for me, that was a little bit of a scary thing. Now, as far as your theming, if you are a person that likes to adjust your themes and your system around, like I like to do, I like playing with the theme settings. I came from that panel back in the Windows where we could change all of our colors and we could do all the neat stuff. And I was such a geek, I actually hacked the registry. But this was before Windows 98 came out with the theme files. I actually developed a whole lot of themes, and I deployed them by using registry hacks in Windows. It was the coolest thing. But this has no ability to adjust the themes at all. You're kind of stuck with it. Now, again, they say that they're not, they're made, in fact, this is from their main site. This is a post, and it says Elementary OS is made to look like Mac OS. This is under the list of misnomers. And they really don't give you a complete and total thing, but one of the things they talk about is, it doesn't have the iconic traffic-like window buttons. Well, no, it doesn't, but everything else on this looks very much like the Mac, from how the windows are displayed to, everything. Even if I right-click, this just looks like a Mac window. Now, that's a pro in my opinion, because the Mac is a very sleek and beautiful machine. But if I want to edit my themes and edit my skins, I can't do that. At least not without adding extra tweak tools or whatever. But here's another major problem is there's no way to minimize this window and to get it out of my way. If I want to keep this open but get it out off of my desktop for the time being, I can't do that. There's nowhere to minimize this. I can throw it down here. That's about it. But if I throw it down there too much, it snaps. And I'm not a big fan of that either. So I do have the toggle maximize and take off a maximize. And we do have the option to, just like the Mac, leave it over the dock, or I can set it so that the dock hides when this goes into a maximize mode. So those are some of the problems is with no customizability. Let's see. I already mentioned most of what's on here. Pretty much everything. Oh, this is a neat one here. Email. So all of the system has a lot of their own built-in apps, which is kind of interesting. Most Linux distros actually just grab the apps that make sense. Sometimes they just kind of grab the default. Many of your Linux distros will come with Firefox as the pre-installed browser. Some of them, most of them will come with Thunderbird as an email client. A few of them might come with Evolution. So you have the options there for your different email clients. But here is our email client, and I find that this is completely unusable. We can log in with Yahoo, Gmail, or Outlook, or hit Other. But under our Other, if you notice something that's missing, POP3 is missing. I don't use IMAP. I think that we use IMAP to an overabundance. IMAP has a lot of good uses, particularly if you are using things like a Gmail account or a Outlook account. You want to use the IMAP to keep that server in integrity there. But if you're not using those particular email clients, then you really want to have the option to do the POP3, and there's a few interesting reasons. The first major reason is we need to have backups. Do not assume that your hosting company that's hosting your email will keep a backup for you. They might do backups, but that's for their benefit, not for yours. And so a smart thing to do is have a computer that is nothing more than checks the email on a POP3 account and archives all of the emails. And you can do that running an external flash drive Linux operating system, or in my case, my Windows 8 computer just collects an ongoing archive of every email I send and receive. So that's one of the advantages. Another reason why you should use POP3 rather than IMAP is so that the email servers don't get full. Data is still not perpetually unlimited, and with us sending and receiving larger and larger email attachments, your inbox can fill up. And I encounter this a lot because I sell very small business hosting packages, which are perfectly sufficient for any small business website. But if they are using email and not clearing their inbox, the server will fill up very fast. And so IMAP kind of prevents people from doing backups. It prevents people from deleting emails. And it really gives you this false sense of security. So the fact that this email client has no POP3 availability, this is a non-use system for me. I simply can't use the email client. So your theming, we already talked about the theming is not entirely consistent. This is another structure problem with me is I cannot work on this desktop at all. There's no right-click functionality. There's no place I can set icons on the desktop. I can't put folders on the desktop. If you come into your basic home folder here, there is actually a desktop icon. If I drop something on here, it doesn't do anything. So there, I've just put something on the desktop and it's not there. It's in the desktop folder. But this is a problem for me particularly because I work off the desktop. I find that you have a lot of fast efficiency when you are working with your desktop environment. So you have your folders and your files and whatever else you're working on, and then once I'm done with the project, I'll archive it back into the documents. But I want to be able to quickly interact back and forth with the desktop. And that's kind of a problem I have with the Mac, that it's possible to do it on the Mac, but it's very difficult. So that's kind of one of those reasons I would definitely not use Elementary for my own personal work computers. So that's kind of my list of cons. The pros. Well, one of the pros is it is very clean. It is very neat. And if you look at these context menus inside of here, this is very slick. It does look very nice, and I'm definitely not going to fault them for any of that. It is based on the Ubuntu platform, so not only will you be able to get support from the people at the Elementary OS forums, but also a lot of your fixes and such for Ubuntu may also apply to this. You also have access to the Ubuntu packages, and I guess, I'm sorry, I totally forgot my biggest con on here. I was going to talk about it. There's no applications installed. This is actually either a pro or a con. The pro is there's no bloatware, but the con is there's no utilities. This is it. This is everything that's installed on the computer. There's nothing here. There's no disk utilities. There's no USB writers. There's really not even, there's a photo app. There's really not even anything else that is really really handy to get your system configuration. Your system settings, we do have some options inside of our system settings, but not nearly as many as you may think. So the advantage, though, being based on Ubuntu is if I really want to have some of the disk utilities, I can actually install them because they are inside of the Software Center and inside of the, you can just do the apt-get stuff. So your App Center is down here. Your App Center on this is quite a bit faster. So we were talking about disk utilities. So let's see if I can do disk utilities and see what I can find. There's BleachBit. Okay, so this disks here is the basic one that comes on Ubuntu. So you can install any of these from the system. But the problem is, though, is with the lack of apps, it kind of feels to me like an incomplete operating system. You know, even the Mac has a lot of system tools if you know where to find them. But this just feels like it's incomplete because we're lacking a lot of the other applications. Now, in the theming, where I was talking about the negatives, the cons of the theming is I can't change, not only can I not change any of the theming around the windows, I can't seem to change the icons either. The best I can do is change the desktops, which does not seem to be working right now as I'm recording and on the VirtualBox. But the desktops usually, if I'm not recording, work pretty flawlessly. And they are very beautiful pictures. They give you some nice pictures. Under our dock, we have the option to show normal and large size icons on our dock. We can hide it intelligently. And we do have hot corners set up, again, just like the Mac. They are all set to nothing by default, which is really good. So that's kind of what we can do there. Again, I kind of want to leave system settings open, but there's nowhere to maximize or minimize it, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Actually, I want to get in there now. The biggest reason I'd use this if I had a family computer and I wanted to use this as the main system I'm using is because it has built-in parental controls. So the idea here is you go under your users and you create a new account. So I created an account here for a kid. Of course, this is me, this is the kid. The kid is not an administrator. So now I can come under Parental Controls and I can unlock my Parental Controls. And with my Parental Controls unlocked, if I can type my password in right. Try that again. With my Parental Controls unlocked, I can now enable the Parental Controls for the user by toggling the button on over here. And then I can limit the computer use by weekdays and weekends, weekdays only or weekends only. And I can come over here and I can simply set some times. So during the periods of times or when the kid could feasibly use the computer. We also have access to an internet blocker, so I can block specific sites. I'm not sure if this will take any wildcards, probably not, but you know, if I want to prevent the kid from being on Facebook, I can go ahead and you know, block Facebook or block any particular website I know that they might want to go onto. And then over here, we can actually prevent kids from using specific apps. So I can come over here and just kind of select any of the apps that are installed on the program in the program menu, and I can set those to the list to prevent them from using any given applications on the computer. And I can toggle this button to allow them to use them with permission so that if, you know, if I happen to be in the room with them, we don't have to log out of their account and into my account to enable access to those apps. I can simply get on and type in the password for them. So that is really a huge advantage. Another big thing that is somewhat problematic with some Linux systems and not with this one is that audio and video works out of the box and pretty well. I didn't get a chance to test full video with files, but here I've downloaded some of my classic CDs from my NAS drive onto this. This, if I were using this as a work system, I probably wouldn't even bother installing another media player. This works pretty much the way I like it. I can sort it out by different views. If I close it out, music still plays, so I can keep playing, listen to things without anything going on in the background. And up here, I can grab my volume icon, and I can go to the next song, previous song, or I can pause my music there. So that is kind of my list of pros and my list of cons. Overall, my take, this distro is not for me. It feels in a way incomplete. It feels in a way like it doesn't seem user-friendly, at least not the way that I work. Of course, we all have different ways of doing workflow. This is not for me. I would definitely have a need for it if I had kids around and wanted them to have access to different programs and things, because it has those built-in parental controls. It means that I have to spend less time messing with anything else. However, all that being said, this is not a distro that I'm about to install for any long-term test one way or the other. If you agree, hey, let me know you agree. If you disagree, let me know why you disagree. It's very, very possible I just missed things over. Overall, I think it's a fabulous fabulous system here to work through, and it's just not for me. I just take those things with as my opinion and as my grain of salt. But that's kind of where we stand. So with that, this is Tom, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.